Hey guys, Mobile's here with another Escape from Tarkov video on the Escape from Tarkov tutorial series that I'm making. Today we're going to be doing our first actual raid. And this might be a first couple raids. Hopefully you guys watched my last video on getting started and what to do when you first open up the game. But today is going to be our first live raid and what to do in your first live raid and how to go about things, how to approach certain situations, that kind of thing. Tarkov, when you first jump into a live raid with real people, it's a lot harder to get a grasp of the game immediately. So I want to help you guys out with that, so let's jump right into it, and let's get into our first live raids and how to gear up and such like that. Thank you guys, and don't forget to drop a like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell so we do go live. And when new episodes do come out, I'm coming out with a video pretty much every week, plus our podcast. I do have a couple bonus videos lined up for you guys, just waiting on some thumbnails. So stay tuned for those as well. Alright, so for gearing up for our first raid, we don't want to go super over the top. So gearing up for your first raid, you're probably going to end up dying for the most part, just because this Tarkov is just crazy complicated. There's a lot to look at, a lot to dissect your first raid. And hopefully you followed my last video on getting started to kind of figure out what to do with your gear, your stash, offline raids, and such like that. So if you've gone on to a single map, again, don't focus on many. Focus on one or two maps to go into offline raids and learn the map. I recommend Customs, Shoreline, or Factory. Factory is very close quarters and very PvP based. Customs is a kind of a nice mix in between PvP, PvE, and looting. Shoreline is a very wide mixture of running to a lot of places to maybe get in contact. So it's kind of more of a rat map. But it does have its PvP areas like Cottage and Resort. So assuming you've gone to offline raid and you have done a couple offline raids to understand the map as a whole, I want you to go get ready, get your PMC ready. All I do is I put on a rig, a very small backpack, a nade if I have it, some meds. I recommend putting the meds in your container, whether you have an alpha, beta, gamma, depending on where you are in the map. If you're starting out the first time, you'll probably have a standard account, so you're probably only going to have an alpha, which is a 2x2. So just put your meds in your pouch until you find something that's worth putting in there later on. Put just your basic pack armor. Twitch Rivals just happened, so I have the fancy Twitch Rivals pack. Put a basic M4 on. You're probably going to have a basic helmet like the SSH helmet. If not, go buy an SSH helmet. Helmets are really nice, and they're really good to use, especially early on, because of helmets save lives. They ricochet bullets and stuff like that. Headphones, if you have them, however, they're not needed. I do recommend a face cover because your skin does kind of glow without a face cover. So having that face cover on allows the color of your skin to obviously not be seen where it is very bright. I recommend, whether you're starting with an AK or an M4, I recommend starting with one mag in the gun and then two extra with the baseline ammo. I think you start with M855 for M4s, and I think you start with PS ammo for AKs. Just start with the base ammo with two mags. Again, you don't want to go overboard and lose a bunch of gear right off the start. And then what I want you to do is, now that your gear is set up, you've probably followed my last video, go into a scav raid for your first live raid. This is because your guy has gear that you're not going to lose if you die. If you die as a scav, you're not going to lose the gear per se. It's free gear to you. So go ahead, jump into a scav raid in your first map. Don't go sprinting into action. Kind of take it slow. Be more methodical. Be more patient. Try to get those drops on players and player scavs. Maybe try to find some dead bodies with some good gear. You never know, on any map you can stumble upon some really nice gear just on a body that someone may have died and didn't get looted. So your first live PMC raid. Again, your first live PMC raid is going to be a little bit scary. It's going to be a lot going on. If you followed what I said and you started out with Customs, what I want you to do is go to Escape from Tarkov, click on your PMC, go to Customs at a time, and go ahead and just, if you want to insure your stuff, do it. If you start late wipe, it is definitely worth insuring your stuff, just because no one's going to take your stuff late in the wipe. If you're starting right off the wipe, I don't insure my stuff because most of the time someone's going to take it, especially early wipe, because everybody's low on gear. So when you spawn in for your first raid, there's a couple things I want you to do immediately. One, I want you to watch for spawn rushers. There are a lot of veteran players that understand the spawns and are going to rush spawns to try to get early kills, therefore clearing out the map early, which gives them more range of the map more freely. So basically, hunker down for the first 5-10 seconds, make sure you don't hear anyone running up. If you don't hear anyone running up, get your bearings. Figure out where you are in the map. You're being a little bit, I guess distorted and confused on where you are, because you're probably going to spawn somewhere you didn't spawn into on your offline raids, because there is quite a few spawns on all the maps now. So keep an eye out for that. So get your bearings, figure out where you are, watch your spawn rushers, and understand where you need to go. Your biggest thing with killing scavs is make sure you don't peek the same spot twice, and make sure that you understand where they are, which way they're going, because they pathfind in a very linear way. They're not very dynamic on their pathfinding, unless it's a raider. If a scav is pushing you, flanking you, throwing grenades, most likely it's going to be a raider. So do be aware of that, and raiders are a lot harder to fight. You want to make sure you loot the bodies so that you can get some experience. Even if there's nothing on it, at least touch the body to get the experience from it. You can see down in the corner, you can get anywhere from like 20 to 180 XP for just touching the body itself. Not necessarily even killing it. If you don't kill it, you can just go over and loot it. And again, 118 experience, very nice for easy levels early on. Make sure you click search on all the pockets, backpacks, rigs, all that kind of stuff, because they may have some goodies in it. For the most part, rigs will only have magazine and ammo. Your backpacks and pockets will have key cards, items, sugar, like right here we got a pack of sugar, which is very valuable. You can also use rigs in your backpack to hold more space. So if you have enough space in your backpack to hold another rig, for the most part, most rigs beyond the scav vest and the hiking vest and all that kind of stuff will allow you to save more space than what is actually allowed in your backpack, because these rig itself saves space. So keep that in mind when you're trying to loot. But then again, if you have some sort of vest in your rig in your backpack, you may lose space that you might be able to fit a gun or a bigger item, such as like a car battery in there as well. So you gotta kind of weigh the options when those decisions come up in the game. So most structures in the game will allow loot to spawn. There are very few structures in the game that don't have loot in them. So if you're trying to look for loot, look out for structures, cars, vehicles, tents, anything like that will generally have loot inside of them. Very few times is there loot just out and about in the middle of a field or a parking lot or something like that. You can open car trunks and doors to look in there for loot as well. But for the most part, structures are going to be where your main areas for loot are going to be. So focus on finding these structures and looking around for loot spots. A lot of stuff will be loose here on like shelves. You have jackets that hang around, bags, cases, all kinds of different areas for loot. So in your first raid, if you did insure your stuff and you're looking to get that stuff back, one thing you can do is, so I have some M32s on that are insured. This says insured by Prapper. I did find some contacts in a box. I can go ahead and drop the M32s, put the contacts on, and I'll actually get those M32s back later on the raid. So therefore, I'm using this contacts that I used before, so if I die, I don't care about the contacts. So usually your extract is on the opposite side of the map that you spawn in, so usually you have to work your way across the entire map to find your extract. So do be aware that your extract is most likely not going to be next to you. Sometimes if you get in the middle of the map spawn, you may have spawn in an extract on either side. So keep your eye out for those as well. So once you actually make it safely to your extract with your full gear, go ahead and get in the area and get out of the map and sell your stuff. Make as much money as possible. It's super nice to get out of a raid with a full backpack and full rig of gear that you can just sell off and make a little bit of cash. Alright, so now that we finished our first raid live, make sure you guys go ahead and sell all your items. And again, the main point is going to be taking it slow, be patient, get the loot, and get out. Focus on maybe killing a couple scavs. Don't focus on going in the middle of the map where all the players are going to be. Focus going around the outside of the map to ensure your safety in the raid. Again, this is a game about survival, not about killing the most players in the game. If you can kill a bunch of players and get out, great. But for the most part, it's about surviving. So again, take it slow, get the loot, kill a couple scavs for the XP and a couple of the loot that they may have, and get out. Look for guns, high value items, magazines, ammo, that kind of stuff, because that stuff is way more expensive than you might think. So especially ammo. focus on ammo, magazines, guns, other gear, that kind of stuff, and get out with the gear and make that money. So I hope you guys like this. Make sure you guys drop a like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell so you do go live. And when new episodes do come out, I have a bunch more episodes planned out for you guys. So have a great day. Goodbye. Deuces.